going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Spiderwick Chronicles. So the Spiderwick Chronicles is a Nickelodeon film that I remember watching when I was growing up, and recently just rewatched it, showing it to Haley, my girlfriend, for the first time. I always had fond memories of this film, and I just always really enjoyed watching it. And going back and watching it again, I've got to say this film still holds up, and it still has a lot of great messages, great performances, and a fun film adventure altogether. This film stars Freddie Highmore, Sarah Bolger, and Mary-Louise Park, just to name a few. And yeah, you know, I gotta say right out of the gate, Freddie Highmore in this film, I remember watching this movie and thinking to myself, this guy's going to be an amazing actor as he gets older. And now he's on The Good Doctor, I believe is the name of the show. He was also on Norma Bates and Bates Motel. And he's just a fantastic actor that brings a lot of nuance to his performances and is very believable. And even from a young age, he's just always been super believable as an actor. And in this film, he plays two characters. He plays a set of twins, and they're completely and utterly different characters. And when they're on screen together and having dialogue together, you do feel like they're entirely two different people. And so my biggest praise right out of the gate, and the biggest thing that always sticks with me when I watch this movie, is Freddie Highmore's performance of these two characters. So just to give you the basic premise without getting too deep into spoilers, you have this family who's moving into a home that was passed down to them via their family. The mom and dad just got a divorce. It's the mom and three kids, a daughter and two brothers, the two twins I mentioned earlier. And yeah, the main character, who's played by Freddie Highmore, and obviously his brother is as well, is not happy about this. He's really upset that his parents got a divorce, and is a lot closer to the father. And there's this this tension between him and the mom right out of the gate. You have the two other kids who are a lot more respectful, a lot closer to their mom, and are trying to be understanding of everything that's going on. But at the same time, kind of feel like the brother does, but not to the same extent. So they move into this old house that's kind of out in the middle of the woods. It's just kind of like a cheap home, a free place almost for them to live, since it was passed down via family. They're in a new city and trying to start a new life. The mom's just trying to restart everything after this divorce, and you can see the heartache in her character. And as the film goes on, you do understand and find out what happened and what led to the divorce. And you know, there's a great family element to this film, with a lot of tension, but at the same time a lot of heart as well. Not long into being in this house, a book is discovered that has a warning on it that says do not read. Of course, the main characters do not follow that path, and opening this book and reading it has now kind of set off this magical wave across the woods around the house. Throughout the film, you find out that there are all these magical creatures in this entire other magical world that's completely around us at all times, and you can only see them with specific glasses and lenses. Later on, there is a magical creature that does help the characters be able to see things without these lenses, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, there's essentially invisible magical creatures everywhere. You've got all the fairy tale creatures like griffins, fairies, goblins, hobgoblins, ogres. You know, there's definitely a good amount of magical creatures in this film, and it's pretty expansive, and I really enjoy the lore behind this film. So just to give you guys a little bit more information without getting too deep into the actual premise and the characters and everything like that, essentially this book that they found is filled with information about the magical world and those magical creatures. It's got information on how to handle some, tips on how to destroy some, but in general it just has knowledge about these creatures that if it fell into the wrong hands could be fatal for the magical world. The reason it was safe inside of this house was because there is a protective magical circle around the house that does not allow any magical creature to get inside. There's this evil ogre who wants the book and all the information inside of it so he can kill all the other magical creatures and rule over the world. And yeah, that's essentially the basic premise. They want to keep this book safe from this monster. There's a protective circle around the house, and of course plenty other things and adventurous moments happen throughout. And like I said, I still really enjoy this movie. I think it really holds up. I think it's got great characters with some great character arcs. There's some really charming moments and some great family messages throughout it, and as well as some really spiritual messages as well. Yeah, I just think that this is a movie that really holds up, has a lot of heart, a lot of charm, and really solid and fun characters. I really enjoy the world as well. You have really cool and fun lore. I really feel like they could have made more movies off of this. I know it's a book series. I'm not really huge on reading a lot of books, so I'm usually the guy who just watches the movies in general. But yeah, just from a movie watching perspective, I really enjoyed this film. I really enjoy the characters. I enjoyed the look, the feel of this film, and like I mentioned, the messages that this film has throughout it. Another thing I really love about this film is the look as far as the CG and the creatures in this film. There are moments where it does look dated and there is a cartoony element to the CG in this film, but I do feel like that was intended. I do feel like it was meant to kind of lean more towards a younger audience, even though there are darker themes in there. And the ogre, when you see him in full CG, essentially looks like a big demonic monster. I really enjoy the CG on him, and I do feel like the film and the visuals really match up for what kind of film it is. If I had to lean into some negatives, the only real negatives I'd have are there are a couple characters and a couple plot points throughout the film that aren't developed as much as I maybe would have liked them to be, but really not too much to the point where it's a big problem. The resolution at the end of the film does seem a little cheesy, if you will. I mean, you know, when you're watching the movie, you got a smirk from it. You kind of understand why and how it happened, but it does feel like with the big amount of threat and the sense of stakes that the whole movie set up the entire time, the resolution does feel a little bit lackluster. You know, it's kind of played for a joke, to be honest, but, you know, it doesn't ruin the film for me. It doesn't ruin the overall adventure. It's just something that I've always not felt 100% right about. And like I mentioned, some of the CG in the film is a little dated, a little bit cartoony, but it's really not that bad. I really still do enjoy it, and I feel like it fits the look of the film, like I mentioned. But outside of that, I really don't have too many other negatives, you know? Like I said, some things weren't fleshed out, but for the most part, this is a really charming film with some great characters, some great family messages, and I do have a lot of fun rewatching this movie. This is the kind of movie I could see myself rewatching many times over the years, and I really don't ever get tired of the characters in this film as well. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be my review for the Spiderwick Chronicles. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Did you like this movie? Did you hate this movie? Tell me all your thoughts down below. I definitely want to have a conversation as usual. If you've never seen this movie, I do highly recommend it. I think it's a film that a lot of you will really enjoy. It has a lot of charm, like I said, and it's a lot of fun. And if you're into fantasy, I think that this is definitely a just fun, whimsical fantasy film with a really good sense of lore and something that they could definitely have built more films on. And like I mentioned, Freddie Highmore's performance in this film as both characters that he plays is just really believable, and you do really get that the sense that they're two different people, almost essentially real set of twins, and I think he does an amazing job of being able to differentiate them completely. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Like I mentioned, leave your comments down below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more videos, guys. I appreciate all of you who have continually watched my channel. I am really, really grateful. Super, super grateful. Make sure you go back and check out some of my other reviews. I've been posting many, and I have more videos coming, guys. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!